Imagine a boy standing 5 feet 5 inches tall, weighing barely 100 pounds. Now, imagine that boy climbing onto a burning tank destroyer and single-handedly holding off 6 German tanks and 250 enemy soldiers for over an hour. This is not Hollywood fiction. This is the true story of Audie Murphy, the most decorated American combat soldier of World War II. A teenager from rural Texas who became a legend, a warrior who suffered in silence for decades after the war ended. This is his story. Audie Leon Murphy was born on June 20th, 1925, in Kingston, Texas. He entered a world of crushing poverty. His family were sharecroppers. Audie was the 7th of 12 children. His father abandoned the family when Audie was young. His mother, Josie, struggled to feed her children. They lived in a shack without electricity or running water. Hunger was constant. Audie learned to hunt at age 5. His family needed food. He became an excellent shot with a borrowed rifle, bringing home rabbits and squirrels. He attended school irregularly. By age 12, Audie was picking cotton in the fields. He watched his mother work herself to exhaustion. He watched his siblings go hungry. In 1941, when Audie was 16, his mother died. The loss devastated him. His father had long since disappeared. His older siblings had left. The younger children were placed in an orphanage. Audie was alone, barely educated, and completely adrift. He worked odd jobs around Texas, trying to survive. Then came December 7th, 1941. Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. America entered World War II. Audie saw his opportunity. The military offered food, shelter, and purpose. He decided to enlist. He wanted to fight. But the military had different ideas about who could be a soldier. Audie tried to enlist in the Marines first. They rejected him. At 5 feet 5 inches and 112 pounds, he was too small. He tried the paratroopers. They rejected him for the same reason. He was underage and undersized. But Audie was determined. He eventually lied about his age and enlisted in the army in June 1942. He was 17 years old, though he claimed to be 18. Audie went through basic training at Camp Walters, Texas. Other recruits dismissed him. He looked like a child. Being at the rifle range told a different story. Audie's years of hunting had made him an expert marksman. He could shoot better than almost anyone in his unit, his instructors noticed. In early 1943, Audie was assigned to the 15th Infantry Regiment, 3rd Infantry Division. He shipped out in January, crossing the Atlantic. He was 18 years old and had never been far from his hometown. Now, he was heading to war. He was terrified, but would never admit it. The 3rd Infantry Division landed in North Africa and immediately saw combat. Audie participated in the invasion of Sicily in July 1943. This was his first real battle. Men died around him. Audie discovered something surprising. He was good at this. Where other men froze or panicked, Audie remained calm. His hunting instincts transferred perfectly to combat. During the Sicily campaign, Audie killed his first enemy soldiers. German soldiers were dug in on a hillside. Audie's squad was pinned down. Without orders, Audie moved to a flanking position and began shooting. He killed 2 German machine gunners, allowing his squad to advance. His sergeant noticed. The skinny kid from Texas was a natural killer. After Sicily, the 3rd Infantry Division invaded mainland Italy in September 1943. The Italian campaign was brutal. Germans fought for every hill and town. Audie's unit pushed north against determined resistance. Audie continued to distinguish himself. Near Anzio in January 1944, Audie's squad was ambushed by Germans hiding in a farmhouse. Most of the squad returned fire from cover. Audie grabbed a carbine and charged the farmhouse alone. He killed the German soldiers inside, then used the building to cover his squad's advance. He was promoted to corporal. Throughout 1944, Audie fought through Italy and into southern France. The 3rd Infantry Division participated in Operation Dragoon in August. Audie was now a sergeant leading a squad of men. He took risks that should have killed him. He volunteered for dangerous missions. He was always moving forward. By late 1944, Audie had been wounded twice, once by shrapnel in Sicily, once by a bullet in France. He received Purple Hearts, but never left his unit for long. He would get bandaged and return to combat within days. The war had become his life. In January 1945, Audie's company was fighting in the Alsace region of eastern France. The winter was brutal. Snow covered the ground. The Germans were making a desperate final effort. They counterattacked with tanks and infantry. Audie was now a second lieutenant commanding a company. At 19 years old, he was responsible for over 100 soldiers. On January 26, 1945, Audie's company was positioned near the village of Holtzwihr. They were holding a defensive line along a forested area. The men were cold, tired, and low on ammunition. Around 2 in the afternoon, the attack began. 6 German tanks appeared through the trees, accompanied by approximately 250 infantry soldiers. The force was overwhelming. Audie's company had no anti-tank weapons. They had only small arms and one M10 tank destroyer positioned behind their lines. The M10 was damaged, but its 50 caliber machine gun still functioned. Audie assessed the situation immediately. His men were outnumbered and outgunned. If they stayed, they would be killed. He ordered his men to withdraw to better positions. Most of his company fell back. Audie remained behind to direct fire and cover the retreat. German soldiers advanced across the open field. German tanks fired their cannons. Audie called artillery strikes using his field telephone. The artillery helped, but it was not enough. The Germans kept coming. Then, the M10 tank destroyer took a direct hit. It began to burn. The crew bailed out. Audie saw the burning tank destroyer. He saw the 50 caliber machine gun still mounted on top. He ran to the burning vehicle, climbed onto its deck, and took control of the machine gun. The tank destroyer could explode at any moment. Audie did not care. From this position, he had a clear field of fire. For the next hour, Audie Murphy fought alone. He fired the machine gun in controlled bursts, cutting down German infantry. He called artillery strikes over his radio. He was shot in the leg, but continued fighting. The Germans concentrated fire on him. Bullets struck the vehicle. Artillery shells exploded nearby. Audie kept firing. The 50 caliber machine gun was devastating. Each bullet was nearly half an inch in diameter. Audie fired with precision, targeting groups of German soldiers. The Germans could not believe one man was stopping their entire assault. German tanks tried to maneuver for a shot at Audie. He called artillery fire on the tanks. German infantry tried to flank his position. He swiveled the machine gun and cut them down. Bodies piled up in the snow. Still, Audie fired. Smoke from the burning tank destroyer choked him. He ignored it all. The German force had expected to overrun the American position in minutes. They had 6 tanks and over 200 infantry. Instead, they were stopped by a teenager on a burning vehicle. German officers shouted orders. Their men advanced and died. They fell back and regrouped. They advanced again and died again. Audie killed approximately 50 German soldiers during that hour. He wounded many more. Finally, after more than an hour, the Germans withdrew. They had lost too many men. Audie climbed down from the tank destroyer moments before it exploded. He limped back to his company's position. His men stared at him in disbelief. They had watched the entire battle. Audie's leg was bleeding. His uniform was scorched. His face was blackened with smoke. He collapsed from exhaustion. Audie was evacuated to a field hospital. His wound was treated. He was told he would be sent to recover. Audie refused. After a few days, he returned to his unit. His superiors recommended him for the Medal of Honor. Witnesses provided detailed accounts. The recommendation was approved. The war in Europe ended on May 8, 1945. Germany surrendered. Audie Murphy had fought for nearly 3 years. He had been wounded 3 times. He had killed over 240 enemy soldiers. He had earned every American military combat award for valor. He had the Medal of Honor, the Distinguished Service Cross, 2 Silver Stars, and 3 Purple Hearts, among many others. He was the most decorated American soldier of the war. Audie was 20 years old. He had spent his teenage years killing men. He had seen his friends die. He had lived with death for years. Now the war was over. He was supposed to go home and be normal. But Audie Murphy would never be normal again. He returned to the United States in June 1945. He was a national hero. Newspapers ran stories. Life magazine put him on its cover. Hollywood noticed. James Cagney invited him to California. Movie studios wanted to turn the war hero into a star. Audie had no education and no skills beyond soldiering. He agreed. Audie moved to Hollywood and began acting lessons. He was awkward at first, but he was handsome, and his military bearing could not be faked. He got small roles, then bigger roles. By the early 1950s, he was a movie star. He appeared in westerns and war films. In 1955, Audie starred in To Hell and Back, based on his own autobiography. He played himself. The film was a major success. Audie Murphy was now both a war hero and a Hollywood celebrity. He had money, fame, and recognition. On the surface, he had everything. But beneath the surface, Audie Murphy was suffering. The war had not left him. It lived in his mind. He had nightmares every night. He would wake up screaming, convinced he was back in combat. He slept with a loaded pistol under his pillow. He could not sleep without a light on. Loud noises made him jump. He was constantly alert for threats that no longer existed. Audie was experiencing what we now call PTSD. In the 1950s and 1960s, this condition was poorly understood. Veterans were expected to readjust without complaint. Showing weakness was shameful. Real men did not talk about trauma. Audie tried to deal with it. He failed. He became addicted to sleeping pills. He developed a gambling problem, losing large amounts of money. He had violent outbursts. His marriages suffered. He married twice, and both relationships were strained. He loved his children, but struggled to be present emotionally. Despite his struggles, Audie continued working in Hollywood. He made over 40 films between 1948 and 1969. He was never a great actor, but he was competent and believable. The work kept him busy, but it did not heal him. The war had changed him fundamentally. Audie began speaking publicly about his struggles. This was revolutionary. War heroes did not admit to psychological problems, but Audie did not care about stigma. He testified before Congress about the need for better mental health treatment for veterans. He spoke openly about his nightmares and addiction. He wanted other veterans to know they were not alone. His advocacy had limited immediate impact. Society was not ready to acknowledge the psychological costs of combat, but Audie planted seeds. Decades later, PTSD would be recognized as legitimate. Veterans would receive treatment. Audie Murphy helped start that conversation. Audie's film career declined in the late 1960s. He had financial problems due to gambling and poor investments. He owed money to the IRS. He was considering lower-budget films to pay his debts. He remained famous, but was no longer wealthy. On May 28, 1921, Audie Murphy boarded a small private plane near Roanoke, Virginia. He was traveling on business. The plane encountered bad weather in the mountains. Heavy fog reduced visibility to zero. The pilot became disoriented. At approximately 3:00 p.m., the plane crashed into Brush Mountain near Catawba, Virginia. Audie Murphy died instantly in the crash. He was 45 years old. 5 others also died. It took searchers 2 days to find the wreckage. When news reached the public, there was an outpouring of grief. The most decorated American soldier of World War II was gone. Audie was buried at Arlington National Cemetery on June 7, 1971, with full military honors. His funeral was attended by hundreds. Veterans from his old unit came. Hollywood celebrities attended. Audie was laid to rest among other American heroes. His grave became one of the most visited sites at Arlington. The legacy of Audie Murphy extends beyond his Medal of Honor and film career. He represents courage, sacrifice, and the costs of war. His life story is uniquely American. A poor boy from Texas who became a national hero through extraordinary bravery. But it is also a cautionary tale about the price of violence. Audie's combat record remains unmatched. He killed over 240 enemy soldiers. He earned 33 awards and medals. He was wounded 3 times, but returned to combat each time. His actions at Holtzwihr alone would have secured his place in military history. But numbers and medals do not capture who Audie Murphy was. He was a boy who grew up in extreme poverty. He lost his mother as a teenager. He entered the military to escape destitution. The war gave him purpose and proved he could excel, but it also destroyed part of his humanity. Audie learned to kill without hesitation. He learned to function under extreme stress. He learned to suppress fear and empathy to survive. These skills made him an excellent soldier. They made him terrible at civilian life. The same qualities that saved him in war made normalcy impossible afterward. Audie's honesty about his PTSD was perhaps his greatest act of courage. In an era when mental health issues carried intense stigma, Audie spoke openly about his nightmares and struggles. He risked his reputation to advocate for other veterans. He testified to Congress. He gave interviews. He refused to pretend he was fine. This advocacy had little immediate effect, but Audie's voice joined a small chorus demanding better care. Over time, that chorus grew louder. By the Vietnam War era, PTSD began to be recognized. By Iraq and Afghanistan, it was accepted medical fact. Veterans today receive treatment that Audie never had. His advocacy helped make that possible. Audie's film career introduced his story to millions. To Hell and Back showed audiences what combat was really like. His other films kept his name in public consciousness. Even today, people who know nothing about World War II often recognize Audie Murphy's name. The Battle of Holtzwihr has been told and retold in military academies and history books. It represents the epitome of individual courage under fire. Military tacticians study it, leadership instructors use it to teach about decision-making under pressure. Audie's actions that day saved his company and stopped a German advance. Today, Audie Murphy's grave at Arlington remains one of the most visited. People leave flowers, flags, and notes thanking him. Veterans visit to pay respects. Families bring children to teach them about heroism. His headstone is simple, listing only his name, rank, and dates. It does not need to say more. Audie Murphy died over 50 years ago, but his legacy endures. He represents the best and worst of what war does to people. He showed extraordinary courage in combat. He saved lives through his actions, but he also paid a terrible price. The war took his youth and his peace of mind. His life asks uncomfortable questions. What do we owe soldiers who fight for us? Is a medal enough compensation for psychological trauma? Can someone who has killed hundreds ever truly be at peace? Audie Murphy survived World War II, but never truly left it. The war lived in his nightmares until the day he died. He was the most decorated American soldier, but also a wounded soul who never fully healed. Both truths are part of his legacy, and both deserve to be remembered.